Today's episode, which is going to be slightly longer than normal, we finish off pouring concrete on the big site. We move into the drawing office and I show you, like Iron Man, how our package works. And somebody has dropped a complete and utter bomb. Morning. So we're going to check out the big site again this morning. This will probably be the last time for the next probably 3 or 4 weeks that we'll report on this site, because we'll move then over to Fowler Gilbert, who are then going to fab the building. So we'll follow the steel work and the process through from drawing through to the workshop, through to the paint shop, and then back bringing the steel on site ready to erect. So today Dave's just finishing off the strip footings and some of the drainage, so we'll go and have a look at what he's got going on today. Obviously you saw all the footings going in on the last video of the big site. Now we're putting in the strip footings. So basically between each concrete foundation, wherever there's not a door, we then put in a strip footing like this at the same level, which is, from memory, I think Dave said it was about 450 below what the finished floor level of the building's going to be. So on top of here, what we then have is two courses of block which create a cavity. So a little bit like we mentioned on the house build, there'll be your block in this case, then we'll go to a blue engineering brick which comes out the ground, and then in between there'll be insulation, because the new regs state that the cavity has to be of a certain size, the insulation has to be in, but it has to go down past the insulation of the floor slab, because this is going to have an insulated floor slab in it at a later date. So basically that strip footing goes in. Once the steels go on, so the steel post goes up and the shed is erected, and at that point we build this little dwarf wall all the way around the building, and that's where the cladding, the insulated cladding, comes down and sits onto that with a nice seal, gives us an airtight seal for the air test or pressure test, and also there's no cold bridging because we've got that cavity and we've got the insulation down to where the bottom of the insulation is on the floor slab. So you can see we've poured all the way through here. The foundation itself, the building regs chap, he wanted it to be a little bit lower. He was happy enough if we reinforced this. So again, this has got reinforcing mesh. So similar to what we made note to in the bottom of the foundations, we cut a strip of reinforcing mesh of a certain gauge, which engineers confirmed. We put that in the bottom on its spacers, and that just strengthens the bottom of the slab. That's the strip footings. We'll go up here and we'll have a look at the far end. So this end of the building, we've got, well, both ends of the building actually, we've got a mezzanine floor going in here. And then this particular end of the building, there is going to be a blockwork wall that goes across the second portal frame in, which creates a room downstairs where the client has got various other bits going on which he wants separating from the remainder of the building. So we again put the strip footing across there. And then what the client wanted was, he wanted numerous points down the length of the building where he could have either toilets or sinks or any wash facility. So we've got to get rid of that dirty water as well. That's what that drain is coming out the ground there. And that is one of the outlets there that's coming out the ground. And that is basically going across through a trench there, and it goes under the footing on the far side where we'll pick up on it and send it off down the site to get rid of it. So again, engineer wanted this covering across the top with a bit of pea gravel and then concrete to make it nice and strong. And then where we go through the footing, or should I say underneath the footing, what we have to do there is, we don't want the concrete to grip the pipe so there is absolutely no movement whatsoever. So what we do is we put a sleeve around it where it goes through, so like a fiberglass sleeve. So picture it like your arm in your sleeve here. So the concrete will be round the outer side and we'll hold that nice and tight, but effectively the pipe can still move in and out the trench or underneath the footing if it needs to. So if you picture if it was really rigid and it was gripped to the pipe, what could happen if there's any movement at anywhere at any time in the future, what will happen is it'll crack that pipe under the ground. It's under the footing, absolute nightmare to try and get back to rectify. So that's one of the reasons we put this sleeve system in place. So if there is any movement, it just stops any breakages or damages that you can't get back to thereafter. So you haven't seen me on a digger much yet, but you will do shortly, because in a couple of weeks' time we're going off to a big agricultural job down the road where there's quite a lot of digger work, and Dave's asked me to go and give him a hand on that. Digger driving wise, picture me as Maverick, our Top Gun, on a digger. But clearly here we have, and I'll show you why, the Mr. Bean on diggers. Because somebody has knocked a pin over. So that basically has been hit with the digger, it's been bent over, and now that's going to cause a nightmare when we come put the steel up. So we're going to have to try and rectify that, straighten it out, and see if we can fix it. So I don't know who it was, I bet no one will admit to it, but Mr. Bean is around us somewhere. We'll head back over to the office now. We'll show you a little bit of the drawing package of this building so you can understand the sort of the steel and the cladding, the mez floors, and how it's all going together. And then before we move on to the fabrication in probably the next episode. So that'll be it. That'll be the last you see of here today, apart from big site montage. So as I said, we'll go into drawing office now. I'll introduce you to the drafts people and show you how we draw the building. Afternoon, guys. Morning.
Good stuff.
This is basically morning for me.
Okay, so we've got Fionn, Rio, James and Neil. Neil's been with us pretty much since the beginning. James joined us probably 2 years after, was it?
About 8 years ago.
Yeah, about 8 years ago. Fionn's recently joined us in the last 12 months, and Rio we've got in as a bit of work experience and see how he gets on. So, I want to show you guys now, obviously, some of the drawing package. So, Balls, can you pull up the big site's foundation plan? We put these screens actually in every office for this purpose, so whether we're going through a job individually with each department or whether we're doing some training, it just makes life easier. Obviously we're casting across, but what we've got then is we've got the foundation plan here, which you've already seen in an earlier video, but this site is particularly easy because when Dave set the foundations, he said he wanted them all to be level and all 450 below. So when Dave has then finished on site with the total station, and as we showed you previously, he took a shot of each foundation. That data then he brings back in the office, converts into a DWG file, we suck that into the Tekla system, and how it sort of works is, let's take foundation A1 in this corner here. That's classed as a 0 point in both Dave's system and Tekla, and then from that we reference each pad footing in whatever plane or location that it's noted. So then with that, what we can do is, it's easier for us to draw it based on 450 below, so we don't have to work with the two different systems. But what we can do is we can pull that DWG in, use it here as a double checking method, so to make sure there's no clashes of anything. So you've already seen this, like I said, this is effectively, although it's in the system of Tekla, it is just a PDF. So if we get rid of that, now we're actually on the Tekla software. So that is the foundation plan as you've seen it. these are the strip footings, these are the pad footings, and these are the base plates. The blue bits are the base plates with the stanchions on them. So you can see we've got the holes here, the main piece of steel, and obviously that big blue bit is the main base plate of the foundation. So if we zoom back out, that's it. What we've got now, let's rotate that. It's a bit of a lag. So you can see now all the strip footing is in, all the pad footings are in, and all the steels. So this is how we produce it in Tekla, the software. But what we've got there is we've got all the foundations in, everything's set to the level, and like I said before, A1 is classed as 0, and then from that point, Dave's DWG that he sent over, now we can double check there's no clashes, but it's a simple one this, because they're all 450 below. So what we need to do now is from that, now that the levels are confirmed and they're in, all the base centres are set and confirmed because Dave's done all the measurements, so nothing is going to change in terms of the foundations and the levels. Now, one of the guys in here can set about drawing this. So we need to get this drawn as quickly as possible, get it sent off to the customer for approval, and then once we've got it approved, we can then order all the steel, all the materials, and everything else. So we'll leave James now to set about drawing it and show you a little bit of that as he's doing it, and then we'll come back and have a look at the finished product after. All done, balls?
Yep.
Thank you very much, that was quick. Shaft list in there?
Yes.
And NC files, can you pick them over?
Yep.
Cheers, mate. I'm going to order the steel. So now we've got the steel work in, you can see, as I said over on the big site before, we've got the posts, we've got the rafters up and down, and the posts on the side, and that is a complete portal frame. Same again on the end, portal frame. Each one of them is a portal frame. You see these cross bars here, these are bracing, so they're tubes, and they're eaves ties at the top. So we're tying the whole building together in terms of length, so if it tries to fall over, effectively it's trying to all fall over like dominoes, and then we're bracing it to stop that happening with a standard K-brace there. So sometimes these bracings will be in the end of the building, but these are to suit the door positions. So if we spin that round now, and then we'll zoom in on this end. In here now you can see we've got the mez floor beams, so this will form part of the underside, which will be that plant room that they wanted, and the upstairs is going to be a big storage area. And there's a little beam that sticks out there, which if you just spin that way a little bit, there we go, the stairs will come up. So we've got a concrete set of stairs that will come up and land on that, and there'll be a landing, and then that's how they'll access the mez floor. Okay, so now we've got all the purlins and the side rails on. So these are Z purlins in the roof, which run from one end to the other, and they're bolted on every frame. There's different colours here, which will denote basically different sizes or gauge material. So obviously it looks like a darker colour will mean James has drawn it with a heavier end bay purlin, which will be what it's been designed to. And then you've got all the side rails here and all these sag systems as well. So if we zoom in on that there, you can see you can actually see each bolt, and we'll zoom into that in a minute, but all this sag system, so we've got the sag wires that basically stop any sag in the bay and hold everything up level, and that will transfer through to each one. Let's zoom in here and spin round, so we'll have a look at the nuts on the other side. So you can see the nut with the thread sticking through. You can even see the washer on the back. And this system will quantify absolutely every single nut, bolt, washer, everything, and produce us lists afterwards that we work from. So then we've got all the roofing, all the cladding. The blue ones are the roof lights. So you can see there's 2 per bay just on the one side of the roof. That's because on the other side we've got solar on this particular building. All the pink bits you can see are basically all the flashings that we've got going on. So there's the ridge flashing running down the middle. We've got the barge boards up and down the gable end. We've got the corner flashings up and down there. You can just about see along the bottom there's a pink flashing, that's your drip sill. And then you've got your guttering and your downpipes in purple. The little bit of grey you can see between the foundation and the cladding there, that's that little stub wall that goes all the way around the building that we said about. So if we flip round to the front, so that's the front of the building, and what you can see, we've got some windows, which will obviously for the mez floor area. That's just to let some light in, although there's no mez the other side of it, just to let some light into the building. We've got little canopies over the personnel door entrances, the big main roller shutters, same again that end. So the customer has got, although he's going to use the whole building for his business at the moment, future plans wise, if he ever wanted to downsize or if he wanted to just keep it in his pension pot and rent it out when he's finished, he can obviously draw a line in the middle, split the building in half, and he's got 2 pretty much identical units to let out at a later date. We can go one step further with this system now. We can actually render it so we can give a visualization to the customer. So when we come to send this, we'll send it sort of as a series of PDF drawings that they will check. If somebody wants to view it in this way, we can send it out with access to a Tekla 3D modeling system, so they can access and have a look at it, although they can't alter anything. And obviously they can see it in this rendered version, so you can see what it actually looks like with the colours as well. So let's flip to that. So there we go. So this particular building, it's a little bit limited on colours, the system, but basically the building itself, the cladding and the roofing material is all goosewing grey as a colour, and then all the flashings he's had are blue. So we've whipped the roof off, and now we'll just spin it round and we can have a look inside. So you can now see that's the mez floor area, and that's the set of stairs that go up with the landing halfway. On the ground floor then we've got this obviously wall going in with the personnel door and another roller shutter there. So if we zoom in on them stairs, you can basically see how the arrangement is going to go. When they get to the bottom, there'll be a corridor here that we've not drawn in, but it's only stud work wall that we'll put in afterwards. But you can see, if you're the customer and you're looking at this, we can do this whole visualization tool. You can either come in and see it, or we can send part of it out to you with a link and you can have a look at it. But ultimately it helps everybody sort of visualize what they're going to get and whether it'll work for them on site. Just makes it a bit easier. So there we go, that's a bit on the drawing package as well. Like I say, we've finished on the big site for now. We'll come back to that in a few weeks' time. Drawing package, you've just seen how it works, how we draw a building, albeit in slow motion compared to if I'd have done it, but James is learning, so he is getting quicker. Thursday night we're going to go into the workshop and show you the first part of the steel arriving and going through the saw line for the building for the big site. So you'll get to see some of that. But if you do like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.